You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to another edition of NS9 Live. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, we're in the rain delay. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, game was rolling along and rain delay hit up. And so, hey, might as well hop on here and not actually miss any baseball.
I know, right? You're a mad genius behind this. Here I was just sitting there, being lazy on the couch. We're in a rain delay, drinking a beer, Jim, not a White Claw, a beer. And you hit me up. You're like, hey, let's do this. So here we are in a rain delay, right? Why haven't asked me anything on Twitter? We haven't asked me anything on an actual live stream and talk to our people.
Yeah, no. So it looks like there's some people who have hopped on here. We can talk a little bit about the game too. I figure we've got that's 4-1 Yankees in the top of the sixth inning. Scherzer's probably going to be done after this delay. He's right at 99 pitches, but. Yeah, what were you think? What do you think about baseball being on?
Well, first off, the fact of just baseball being on, I'm loving it. I'm not going to say, I guess, skeptic, but I was intrigued and interested like how baseball would sound this year, right? And I think we maybe dabbled in that a little bit. With the exhibition games, it was kind of weird. It was off a little bit. I mean, it was nice that baseball is back, but it just seemed off. So right now, I mean, it sounds like a baseball game, nothing really different. You just don't see physical like people in the stands. But I can't say that it seems any different than any other year or game.
Yeah, I mean, production's still the same for the most part. The play, I mean, even the announcers aren't actually at the game; they're calling from a studio.
Right.
But if they weren't showing them in the studio, you wouldn't know the difference. So yeah, it's interesting, but like you said, it's baseball. And the game itself is the same. There's no one in the stands, but everything else has been the same. So it's been good to see.
I hear you. And obviously, as I've been touting, right, this entire time with you, Jim, clearly the pitching's ahead of the batting. So, I've won that as well. It's a very clear statement that the pitching, the batting, the hitters just aren't there. They can't catch up to Max Scherzer tonight. It's not happening.
Very clear after we saw 3 runs in the first inning. Right. Off the 2 best pitchers in the game.
Right. Just Cole and Scherzer, right? Man, bad take.
So Stanton, first off, Stanton crushed that home run. And then that opposite field single that he had last inning, he looks good. I mean, you can tell he's lost some weight. He looks like he's in, quote unquote, he's in the best shape of his life. I'm interested to see how he does this year because he really hasn't been healthy in a while.
Right.
And like I said, so far he looks good.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I hate that anymore. Maybe it's because I'm that guy, as Ryan's always joked about fantasy. I'm the hype man. So you always hear the guy who's always in the best shape of your life and everyone's around him. And it never works out. But yes, I mean, Stanton does look, even Judge. And it's funny because they talked about it on the broadcast. They call him the vegan Yankees or something. So, they do. They look good. I mean, there's been so many pictures I feel like of Stanton this offseason with like his shirt off, which isn't totally abnormal, but he just looks so cut. And it would be very nice for the Yankees, that $330 million man, if he did participate in more than 19 games in a 60-game season. So, yeah, he looks good. Judge looked good. That Yankees offense, seems like it might be there this year. We don't know about the pitching, but yeah. And like on top of that, let's go to the other team. You had some takes about the Nationals, which, I mean, there is no Juan Soto, of course, right now because of COVID-19. Right. But yeah, tell us about the Nationals.
I don't know. I mean, I texted it to you beforehand, but the Nationals, they look like trash. Like this lineup's not good. I mean, Trey Turner's good, but then like Starlin Castro, like you're 3, 4, 5 hitters. And I mean, no knock to really any of these guys, but the Nationals are the defending world champs. And I know Soto's not in there, but Starlin Castro, Howie Kendrick, Eric Thames. It's like that's not. And then you look at the Yankees, and the Yankees have, Judge followed by Torres followed by Stanton. It's just they're not really comparable. The lineups aren't comparable right now.
No. Not at all. I mean, you're right. It's, we joked about Adam Frazier being a 3-hole yesterday morning, but it's kind of like the same thing. Like Starling Castro's the third batter in the Nationals lineup, even with the missing Juan Soto, of course. Starling Castro's your number 3 hitter. That's a World Series contending team. I don't know. That's tough to swallow. And then, like Howie Kendrick is your cleanup guy. Thames your 5th, like Suzuki, Cabrera, Stevenson. Robles, so I don't know, man. And like, it's one game. It's obviously overreaction. Right. But if this team is going to
it's not even one game. It's the 6th inning of the one game.
True. There you go. But it's like, obviously, if this team was going to contend, they're going to need their pitching. And yeah, Scherzer actually hasn't looked that good tonight.
Well, it's weird. Scherzer, he's got 11 strikeouts.
He went on a tear.
In 5 1/3 innings, 11 strikeouts, but he's walked 4. And he's given up 10 hits. So he's basically averaged 2 base runners an inning. The strikeouts have helped him not completely blow up. So yeah, it's just been inconsistent with him. The stuff is obviously still there with the strikeout numbers, but something must be off with the command there, because that's not those aren't typical Scherzer numbers.
Right. But that just highlights the whole thing about these 60 games. As we're saying, like, this team is going to need their pitching, right? Like, Juan Soto will be back eventually, hopefully, and they'll produce some runs here. But this is the team that's going to have to dominate by their pitching. And, when a guy like Max Scherzer has an off night, that's really going to affect the team and, playoff chances. Again, it's 60 games. It's 1 out of 12 starts. So if you have a bad night, that's a big portion of your season right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. So we got a question here. I'm not in the North Shore 9 Fantasy League. You are. So you may be able to speak to this. Aaron Judge, was he the steal of the draft at $20?
Was it Aaron Judge? I thought it was Stan he got for $30 or $20. Either way, Aaron Judge, okay, $20. It's one game. Can we go there again? It's like you meant, it's not even a whole game. It's 6 innings of the season.
But he looks real good.
He does.
And he's healthy.
He does. I mean, it certainly can be. That's like the problem about them too, though. That's probably why they were $2, because they can easily give you, if you want to go fantasy value and such, like $50 value. But when you played 19 games last year and you've had injuries, like Stan has, and now Judge, I don't know. It's tough to say. If he plays a full season, then hell yeah, it's a value. Maybe not Adam Frazier at $1 value, but it's value.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay. So yeah, he corrects. He says he got both for $20. So there you go. So imagine this: you got Stanton and Aaron Judge both at $20.
I don't know what the going rate is in your league for MVP caliber players, but those two are certainly capable of putting together an MVP season as long as they're healthy. So yeah, you know what? I'll say that's a steal. I mean, geez, even they stay on the field for 6 weeks, probably still worth it.
Well, that's almost the whole season.
Right.
I guess we'll put it this way, Mr. Heitman, of course. I did get Lewis Robert for $18 or $19.
Okay.
So there you go. So getting an Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton for about the same price.
I mean, I think Luis Robert is going to also just rake.
I hope.
He looks good. And he's got a lot of hype. I'm actually kind of surprised. So, I mean, I guess we'll just kind of talk about stuff. So, Gavin Lux option before the start of the season. So that's newsworthy.
Let's talk
Nick
about
Madrigal. That. Yeah, another one who I thought was maybe going to make the team, didn't.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but with Lux, like, I mean, I didn't read why. Did they say why he showed up late to summer camp? I mean, my assumption is that if he was there on time, he's got to be that starting second baseman.
Yeah,
he's the number 2 prospect in baseball, and like he's really good. He almost hit 400 at AAA last year. Like he was like 390 something. So the guy's ready to play.
Jim, I'm pretty sure most Pirate fans listening right now are aware of that. Not that, I mean, obviously you're bringing good knowledge, but we hear you're preaching to the choir, man. Everyone I think in Pittsburgh knows about Gavin Lux.
So it was surprising to see him left off that opening day roster. Like, I gotta imagine he'll be up there, within a week or two, because he's really good.
Yeah.
And I guess his service time kind of prorated over the course of a year. So if you sit for 2 weeks, it's like you're down for 5 or 6.
2.7, right? So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they're doing it for those reasons. I don't know.
You have to think. I mean, that's where Ramon goes to. You have to think that, right? I mean, again, this is a guy. Yes, he showed up late, but it wasn't like extraordinary. It wasn't Cabrian Hayes late, right? You would think.
No, I mean, Hayes just showed up the other day.
Right. I mean, you would think this guy with that type of talent is making this club. So you have to ultimately go service time. And that's why I did want, as you mentioned, I did want to bring this up, because you have Lux, you have Pearson, right, in Toronto, which they've announced he'll make it on July 26th, which just so happens to be like the perfect amount of time for him, to get that service time manipulation. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers also, with Dustin May not making the club right away, now he so happens to do, like, by default tonight, because the injury to Kershaw. Sorry, my brain. To Kershaw, so like now he does it. But like with that being said, like do you just now ultimately see like Dustin May getting sent down to the minors sometime this year? It just kills me. Like you see, obviously it's heightened in Pittsburgh when it was Pittsburgh, the Pirates are cheap, but you're seeing the Dodgers do this right off the bat too. The team that just signed to a $365 million contract in Mookie Betts playing the service time manipulation game.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just doing some quick math here. Gavin Lux is 28 days of service time, right? So a full season of service time is 172 days. So that means with 144 days of service time, Lux reaches 1 full year. So I wonder if that's what they're doing. I wonder if they're trying to just kind of change, mess with it so that he goes into the next year with like just barely under 1 year of service time.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make him like a Super 2 guy, in a couple of years, but they would at least still get that extra year out of him. I wonder if that's kind of their plan. Because you got to think to make up for, 144 days, he's probably got to be down honestly, he's down 2 weeks. He probably is good.
Probably. And, 2 weeks doesn't sound like a lot. It's just 2 weeks. But in this year, 2 weeks does mean a lot. And there's a lot of meaningful games. So if he's one of your top, 25 players, which, the Dodgers are pretty damn deep, though. So, I'm sure they can afford it. But, if he's one of your top 25, you would imagine he's playing right now, unless there's some service time manipulation going on. And that's what it seems to me. So, and as mentioned, we talked about the Dodgers with 2 players. One defaulted into the rotation tonight. We talked about Toronto doing the same thing. And then here's the Royals. Brady Singer is going to be in the rotation like from day one. This guy hasn't pitched above, I think, high A or is it double A? But he was, big time pitching prospect drafted in 2018. And it's the Royals that are doing it. The Dodgers are playing the cheap game, and then the Royals come out and say, well, we're going to bring this kid up. That was shocking to me. Kudos to them.
Yeah, that is crazy. I actually didn't even see that. I guess that came out yesterday. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would not have expected Brady Singer to start the year on the team. He's a guy who's probably ready to play. Yeah, he played Double A ball last year, didn't he?
So it was. I couldn't remember if he got to Double A.
Yeah. Yeah, he played like a half a season in Double A.
Okay.
But no, I mean, definitely one of those very talented young arms that probably is good enough to be in the Royals' top five. As far as starting rotation goes, so that is pretty cool to see. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm sure if the Royals rotation isn't anything outstanding, so I'm sure he's a top five. But again, this is a guy who hasn't pitched above Double A. It's the Royals who don't have all the money in the world. They're not like competing this year either. So like, there's really no motivation to go ahead and bring up Brady Singer now. You would play the game. Well, he's been in Double A. Let's keep him down there in the taxi squad or whatever, and have him pitch and have it next year. So yeah, like kudos to them for doing that. They might unfortunately be disappointed and wish they didn't in 5 years, but they're doing it. And of course, the Pirates play the Royals, and we'll probably see Brady Singer, and he'll probably mow us down, and there you go.
Probably.
No,
I like it. I like it when teams. I like it when teams just like they do the right thing like that. I mean, you look at the Padres last year where they had Tatis start on the roster. Most teams wouldn't have done that. Because you look like flip side with the Blue Jays, they had another guy who was clearly ready in Vlad Jr., and they kept him down for 2 weeks. So,
I mean, that's like the biggest prospect that's like come around since who? You know what I mean? And yeah, like you see, he wasn't ready. He was down there. So like this isn't just Pittsburgh.
Miraculously, he's ready like 2 weeks after the start of the year.
Right. I mean, Chris Bryant was the same thing with the Cubs.
Right.
Like you said, miraculously, 11 days later, Chris Bryant's he's good now. We've seen enough out of his defense now. He can play third base. And then he comes up there and Madden plays him like in every single position known to man because he wasn't a good enough defender. Yeah, I'm with you. So Mike also asks another question. Oh, my bad. Yeah. So he says, who ends up being the Pirates MVP?
I guess if by MVP we mean, for me, like highest wins above replacement, right? That's your most valuable player in my eyes. I'm gonna say it's Josh Bell this year. I think a couple of reasons why. I think he will get some time as a designated hitter because really when it comes to Bell's value, it's mostly it's not mostly, it's all on the offensive side of his game. Right. The defensive side of his game actually reduces his value. So the fact that, we can put him in a position now where he's gonna play first base more often than not, but being able to get his bat in the lineup and not have his glove cost us, I expect him to start. He'll probably get 10 to 20 designated hitter games, I would say. Mm-hmm. And that'll help out his overall value to the team because he won't be bringing that down from a defensive standpoint.
Right.
But
right.
I'm expecting a big offensive year from him again. I think he's. I think he has the potential to be like that great power hitter that he showed at times last year. So I'm expecting big things from him on the offensive side. So yeah, I think Josh Bell is your 2020 MVP when it's all said and done.
I can't disagree with that. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if you even saw this, but shout out to Nick, and I'm going to butcher your name, but Nick Camuso, I hope, CAMMUSO at NPC210. He put out a tweet today, which I saw a couple of people like quote, so I went ahead and did so as well. But some of the things he asks are, what's the record, MVP, least valuable player, surprise, disappointment, breakout, first trade, how many times Bell DHs and Hayes starts, right? So I did answer it with Josh Bell. That was my MVP as well. I agree with you. I think it's kind of weird. Like if this was a 162 game season, I might actually go towards like Brian Reynolds. But because I think the 60 games helps out Josh Bell. And of course the DH also. Josh Bell is going to bring a lot of value to the power. With it being 60 games, like I feel he can kind of go all out. Like there's less of a chance of him wearing down. We've seen, I feel like every season, not saying he's worn down, but he's had a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys. And I really feel like it's 60 games contained. He just kind of go in there. I mean, he looks pretty damn good, Jim. He's been hitting home runs everywhere, whether it's been exhibition games or just like in practice and stuff you're seeing. So I think it benefits him. And like you mentioned, with him being on the DH role, he won't lose value by actually playing defense. So it helps him out. So yeah, I'm with Josh Bell as well. But maybe why don't we go ahead and do that? I've gone and gave my picks, but why don't we play along with this? So who do you think is going to be the least valuable player? And I know this one's going to be hard.
Least. Yeah, there are a lot of options out there.
Right.
Goodness. I'm going to say least valuable player, Colin Moran.
Okay.
I mean, I know that like people have been saying he's been improved. He's like the most improved player. But it's like, well, considering how bad he was last year, it's hard to not be, one of the most improved players. So I'm going to go with Moran. His defense is terrible, and he's going to be getting the bulk of that playing time at third base, I think. And he hasn't shown he can hit at this level. So I wouldn't be surprised to see like a negative WAR season out of him, honestly. So Moran's my answer there.
Tell us how you really feel, Jim. So interesting enough, I went with a bullpen pitcher. I went with Neverauskas. And I feel that's just like, I don't know. Like, I think the least valuable player is hard to answer because where does that really come from? Like, is it just the person with the least WAR or what? You know what I mean? To me, it was hard. And that's why I couldn't go with Colin Moran, because I felt like he could at least break even, which isn't good. Like having no WAR, right? Like an even season isn't good, but there's probably going to be someone on the team who has negative value. And that's why I kind of went with Neverauskas, because obviously this bullpen isn't deep, Jim. It's not deep. And therefore, with that being said, it's not good. Well, of course, also. But with that being said, I have a feeling that Neverauskas is probably going to be used a lot more than a lot of people will hope for this year. And you're talking about a guy who hasn't proved himself. This guy has not proved himself, Jim. And if you're going to rely on Neverauskas, not for, of course, a 7th, 8th, 9th inning, but if you're going to rely on him to give you innings and eat them up, right? Because there's really not too many people after Musgrove, as you pointed out, and maybe Trevor Williams that can go deep into games. I just feel like it's going to be a bad time, and he's going to show us. That's why I went with Neverauskas as mine.
That makes if he's pressed into service, like if he has to throw a lot of innings, then I could see that. Yeah.
Let's hope not, but I have a feeling. Kella, please come back. Come back, Kella. Get those negative tests going.
Yeah, we need a negative test for him.
Right. All right. So the next one up was, who is going to be your biggest surprise this year?
I feel like this is a tough question because everybody who could potentially be a surprise has we've been talking about him for, this off season has been 10 months long. So we've been talking about what could potentially happen this year for almost a year. The biggest surprise. I'm going to go ahead. And you know what? I'm going to flip it. Neverauskas, biggest surprise.
Ooh.
He actually turns into a reliable reliever.
Well, damn. Everything I just said.
Just out of nowhere. I have no idea why I think that. I'm just that's my answer.
Was this one of yours? How I went from the gut on them over and unders? How I was like, this logically, here's what I'll say, but I have a gut feeling.
I don't even know if my gut's saying it. It's definitely not logical. So
what are you drinking, Jim?
Diet Pepsi, I guess. I don't know what's going on. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say him.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll hold you to this. He would be the biggest surprise.
Right? Yeah.
Mine, and I'll tell you, is surprise good or bad? Oh, that's a good question, Mike.
It could be either.
It could. I mean, I guess technically, yeah. Like if Josh Bell had a -2 WAR, right? He just shit the bed. That probably would be the biggest surprise. So I guess it could go either way. I'm not expecting that. I think it's easy if you look at the Pirates team that your surprise is going to be a good player opposed to a bad player. I mean, is that fair enough?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Okay.
So what's your what's your answer?
Mine is, and this is why maybe he's not in the forefront of your head, but I kind of thought you would also say this because you've had a little chatter about him. I went with Brubaker. Knowing that he made the club today, helped that out because I know he's going to be on the team.
Yeah.
Everything I said about Neveraskis, right? This is a team that has really not a whole lot of depth in the bullpen. Isn't very good. Maybe he starts seeing his way in innings. I think there's a lot of people that don't know who he really is, or a lot of people that feel like, oh yeah, I remember that name. Who is that guy? Because he hasn't played, it seems like forever. You know, it was like 3 years ago he's on the title coming to the Pirates and then injuries and such. So yeah, I think he might be the biggest surprise. I'm not saying he's going to come out there and just dominate and, you know, be like a staple of this bullpen. But to me, I think it might be the biggest just for the fact that he's going to be someone who's really unknown right now. And everyone's probably talking on Pirates Twitter, you know, who are these people and calling him out as one of those, right? But by the end of the season, I feel like he might be known. So that's how I want him.
No, I like that one. I think the one thing, I mean, obviously a 60-game season, it sucks, right? But it's going to be fun in a few ways. But another thing about it is it's really like a perfect situation for those pitchers who are coming back from injury. So it's perfect situation for Cool, perfect situation for Brubaker, to where they don't need to go out there and throw 150 innings this year, right? It's kind of a good ramp up period for them to get ready for 2021. So yeah, no, I like that pick. I could see that because he's somebody that, you know, really after, you know, he got some chatter last spring training. There was a lot of talk about him, and then and, you know, then he tore his UCL. So we really haven't heard a lot about him in a while. So I like that pick.
Cool. Well, the next one up is the breakout. Who's the breakout star this year, Jim?
I think the breakout star is my dog's squeaking here, but breakout star. I mean, I got to go Mitch Keller. I think he's really good. I think he's the best pitcher on the team, and it's going to be a small sample size this year, so it's going to be a little bit tough to gauge him over a full season. But I think he is your breakout star, and he establishes himself as, you know, a legit presence on the mound, a legit starting pitcher, and somebody who can, you know, contribute to the team.
Right. Hey, we meet up, we join forces, same person. Mitch Keller for me as well. I felt like this is probably the easiest one to say. And I think a lot of it just equates to what his season was last year. That it actually helped him out that he pitched so poorly when you look at like the true numbers, you know, the ERA and such. You know, he pitched himself into a name in Pittsburgh of, Mitch Keller. When this guy was a big-time prospect, you know, but, you know, he soured a lot of people looking at his numbers and like, oh, this guy sucks. So I think when he comes out and pitches this year, especially with the new pitching coach, I mean, we're hyping this whole pitching unit, how certain guys could really benefit from Oscar Marine, and hopefully they do, and he's certainly one of them. So if he comes out, honestly, like, I don't think he has to do a ton to be that, you know, that breakout star. He could pitch like a 4 ERA. He's going to throw strikes, have some strikeouts, and he can be that guy. I think he can be better than that. But, yeah, so I went with him, too, for those same reasons. You've certainly been talking him up on these shows. So the next guy is the first player traded.
Well, if he can test negative, I think the clear answer is Keona Kela. That's the obvious choice. He would be a free agent at the end of the season. He's really, I think, the only guy who really has any trade value at all who's going to be in that sort of situation. So hopefully Kela gets back and, you know, has enough time to pitch for a couple of weeks. I think it's going to be Kela or Frazier. So I'm going to stick with Kela.
I'm with you. So of the people that I saw that like quoted this and responded and such, I think I was the only one to respond with Kela. I saw a lot of Fraziers. I saw some Polancos, some Bells, such like that. I just feel like in this weird season, I'm really speculating there's not going to be a whole lot of trades happening. Again, for the reasons that it's small. Well, then again, this was before even this tweet was before we knew there was going to be 16 teams. So maybe this changes a little bit now that everyone's in it, and hell, the Pirates could be in it, and they need color. But I just felt like there's not going to be a lot of trades happening because it just seems like a fake season. No one's going to really be motivated to truly win this. Like, are you going to mortgage your future for winning this year? That's going to have like this asterisk next to it in a sense. So I feel that. And then of course the like parameters around the trade, like they have to be part of the 60 team pool, right? And such like that. So trades are going to be harder to come by. Kella's in his last year. He's a free agent. So there's motivation. Like it's almost like whatever we can get is going to be more than not getting anything for him. So like I almost feel as if like the people like Frazier, the Josh Bells, the Polancos, the whomever you may, present, the likelihood of them being held on to and traded in the offseason is much higher. So like I'm with you too. As long as he's healthy and get on the field with them negative tests, I think he gets traded for whatever they can get.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So next question was how many DH starts for Josh Bell?
Yeah, I kind of answered this too. I think he gets somewhere in the 15 range, maybe every 3 to 4 games. So like 15 to 20. If I had to get an exact number, we'll go with like 17.
Exactly what I said there too.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So what's your thought process on that though? Why?
So I mean, when it comes to bench bats that you would want to even get in the lineup, really, Jose Osuna is one of those guys that you want to get him in the game, especially if it's a left-handed starting pitcher. Mm-hmm. So you got to get him in somewhere. And if you're going to play both Osuna and Bell, it makes sense to put Osuna at first base, make that Bell the DH. Osuna is a better defender. And the other thing too, by just kind of cycling people into that DH role, especially your everyday guys who are going to be out there all 60 games, which I would
Mm-hmm.
expect Josh Bell to play, 59 or 60 games this year as long as he's healthy. Getting a few designated hitter starts. It's you only are actually. You're working maybe 10, 15 minutes the whole game, right. Actual minutes.
It's a nice
Whereas
paycheck.
if you're in the field, it's just more stressful on you. It's more taxing on his body. So it's a good way to kind of just keep him fresh.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Like obviously I said 17 as you mentioned, and part of me as well is like I feel like this DH has been made aware, and I think a lot of clubs in the NL are doing the same. It's not going to be owned by one player. You're not going to have Big Papi here in Pittsburgh. So I think it's to be shared amongst the guys like Bell, Polanco, Moran, maybe Azuna here or there, maybe some other guy give him a day off, a breather but only work 10 to 15 minutes, as you've mentioned. So, but I think, he'll have like a good majority of it. I mean, the season, if you look at splitting it 33 is 20 games. So I think he'll be like right under that. That's why like my sweet spot was 17 as well. So yeah, there you go. Good job. And the last one,
good job.
Yeah, good job, Jim. Give yourself a sticker, man. I should say the second to last one. We'll bring up the last one just because it's there. How many starts could Brian Hayes? Now he just says starts. So I won't say third base. So just how many starts he has, because I guess he could be a DH as well. I don't know why you would, but how many starts does he have this year?
Yeah, and then when we did our over-unders, I said, we actually had an over-under in games, right? And it was
innings.
Was it 0 point
or at bats? It was at bats.
No, it was at that's what it was. It was like 24 or something.
I think yeah.
And I went over because I do think that as I said then, Hayes wasn't going to start obviously with the team. I do think he comes up the last few weeks. So I think he is your starting third baseman the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. So if we're saying how many starts he gets, I'm going to go with like 12.
Interesting. It's a good amount. And this year, like that's basically a full 2 weeks right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 12.
I put up 4. If you heard me on the podcast rationalize mine with Ryan, I told him to. In my gut, I feel like he's going to have 0. But obviously, if you're a betting person with 24 at bats, like you just have to go with the over, right? Like I'm going to put my money on that opposed to under 24 because anything can happen per se. I put 4 opposed to 0, just because like I feel he'll probably have like some like maybe not 2 weeks, but like the last week he'll come up. He won't get the first start like the Josh Bell when they call up Josh Bell. Like he got called up, but they came off the bench for some unknown reason a few times. So we got some starts. So I said 4 starts. He might actually get more games in, but I said 4 starts because of that. I feel like at the very end they probably will be out of it, and it's not giving them too much service time because hey, I mean the Pirates could play this manipulation game next year with them as well. Instead of like keeping it on the first week, they keep it on the first month again and still make up that time, but also play him this year. So that's why I went with 4.
The other thing too that could happen and that just completely throws a wrench in all this is like, I mean, we saw tonight Juan Soto got COVID, right? So all of a sudden, no Juan Soto. Like Colin Moran could test positive for COVID one day, and if that happens, like you're probably putting Brian Hayes on the roster.
Jim, you got Phillip Evans.
We do have Phillip Evans, who still, I'm not quite sure about being a real person. So we got Phillip Evans, right? But he's already on the team, so you need someone else to take that roster spot.
That's true. Okay. But doesn't mean he's starting. Phillip Evans is going to start. Obviously.
I think if Brian Hayes is on the team, he starts.
All right.
That's what I think.
There you go. I like it. All right. So should I say the last one? I'll say it because it's there. All right. So the last question was also how many stupid rum bunner tweets? That was a legit question. I was going to say it.
So I love Rum Bunner. We've been around for, 10, 11 years. I know sometimes people give them some crap for being uberly positive, about things. So, but hey, they're just excited about the Bucks. They're fans, right? I mean, that's why we got into this. Fans say stupid things from time to time. So.
Right. No, I'm with you.
If you were to go through all of my tweets and add up all the stupid ones, there'd be a good amount of them.
Of course. I mean, hell, look at all of our tweets. But that's why I said, so I bring it up because it was there. And yes, that was my answer was all that differs from ours. So if we're matching up, we're good. But if it's different from ours, yes, it's a stupid tweet. It's terrible. Our take is better because we clearly never make any mistakes, Jim, over here in the North Shore 9. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, never over there on the North Side Notch either. So
I actually saw, was it you? Someone tweeted from the North Shore 9 account earlier today. And I think you meant to tweet it at me, but you just tweeted it at yourself.
No, that was me. It's funny? I didn't realize that, Jim, until someone commented it on, I think it was an hour or an hour and a half later. So, and at that point, I was like, you know what? There's no point. It is what it is. And it was me joking what I talked and opened the show with. That's why I did it, because I'm like, well, I don't even know if you saw it anymore because I clearly didn't tweet it at you. So that's why I say that I was going to say it for the show. But yeah, I mentioned like, hey, Jim, obviously the pitching's ahead of the batting, right? And
right, but you tweeted it at yourself.
It worked out so good that North Shore 9, North Side Notch. It seemed like a perfect matchup here, and yet it just creates so many problems. I mean, you have Ryan talking about the North Shore side, and me tweeting at ourselves.
Well, I was gonna say something about, like, I was gonna reply to the tweet, and I was just like, I'm just gonna leave it there.
No,
it's like I'm pretty sure I knew what he meant, but
you better reply next time. Always call me out. I have zero shame.
Oh man. Well, I think the Dodgers game is about ready to start here.
Yeah.
In a few minutes. They're showing it on the TV. They're lined up along the foul lines. They've got the fake fans at Dodger Stadium. They got the cardboard cutouts all behind home plate.
Oh, that's right. I think they were one of the A's, I think, were one of the first. That's right. But yeah, I remember the Dodgers being in on it early too. How do you feel about that? So let's bring up that other thing. I think Baseball America talked about it, where the fake noise and virtual fans, because you had some takes on that.
So I love the fake noise. I mean, I like it. I think it adds good just background noise to the whole viewing experience. I'm used to watching a game when it's not completely silent, right? There's chatter, there's stuff going on. So the fake crowd noise, I'm all for. Now, like Fox Sports is doing this virtual fans thing where they're like making the game like the show. That I could do without. Fox Sports, they gave us the glowing puck, right? That was bad. They're going to give us the fake fans now. I think this is going to be bad. But at the same time, it could be entertaining. Like maybe how like in video games, like fake fans glitch out from time to time.
Yes.
Like I want to see a fan glitch out or fall over a railing. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of fun.
So I'm with you on like the audio portion, the fake fans as far as the crowd noise and such. Yes. I mean, that's part of baseball. And I think it would just be so weird hearing nothing but silence. As we started the show talking about how the production of this baseball game, I was kind of leery about how this would look and feel into this season after watching a few exhibition games, and like this feels like a baseball game. I feel like if there was no sound, like no crowd noise, it just wouldn't feel like a baseball game. And it would just heighten the fact that 2020 sucks, So I think the crowd noise is almost a must. Like you have to have that. But I could definitely do without the virtual fans also. To me, that just seems gimmicky. Now, I appreciate, like, again, we are in 2020. Technology has come a long way. I appreciate the thought behind it, the creativity. Look what we can do and let's do it. But I'm with you too. I feel it's going to come off very gimmicky. The crowd noise, you don't know. It doesn't really seem different. It's not flashing out to you, this is fake. Mm-hmm. The fake fans certainly will. And on top of that, to go back to what you said about the Dodgers, I'm all for the cutouts. Like, I'm just praying that the Pirates will do it. I want to give you money. I have plenty of people I want to make cutouts of. It's not even for me. I want to put other people in the stands so I can hopefully get a glimpse of them and turn them into a GIF, a meme, something. Like, I want to put other people into the stands. I'm trying to give you money, Bob Nutting. Take my money.
Like, I'm watching it right now, and like, the cardboard cutouts are a bit ridiculous. I don't know how I feel about them.
So, okay, they are, and that goes back on what I said about feeling gimmicky. That does feel gimmicky. So I contradict myself, but I want that. I want that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I saw something the other day. I think it was earlier today or maybe yesterday, and I didn't read too much in depth of it, but it was a feature that you could have like the game day app open on your phone. Mm-hmm. And within the app, you could like choose to cheer or boo, and like it would actually pump into the stadium. Like what you wanted to happen.
That is legit. That has to be a must.
How cool would that be? Like if you could, like if let's say Kyle Crick is up there throwing 75-mile-an-hour sliders, just nowhere near the strike zone, and you could just be on there just tapping the boo button, just.
And you know how like things, especially, I mean, God, because everyone who's doing that, right? Kind of tech savvy, you're into that type of stuff. You're probably on Twitter, Jim, and you know how Twitter is. I mean, it's going to be nothing but negative. You're going to have people up there pitching perfect games. And they're up there booing, getting cynical,
Right. So that was like part of it. They were like, it would actually be like, depending on what fan you were, you could pump in that basically into the stadium. Like, I don't know. I didn't read like how it would work, but That's pretty cool. I like it.
I do too, because then it's not just, as you're like, this happy-go-lucky crowd all the time. You have emotion in there, and that gives, like, I guess, fans a sense of being a fan. And you're at the game, you get to do that stuff. When you're at home, it doesn't really matter. You're just sitting home watching games. So now you get to be a part of the game again. And this just goes back to what NS9 has been all about since this whole thing started. Right? Let's get weird. This is weird, and this is great. Do I want this in 2021? No. None of this. But for this year, that in my mind doesn't truly even count anyways, let's do as much as we can that's weird and fun and great. So that being part of that app, if I could do that, I'm certainly good. I'm all in on that. Make that happen.
What if you could like do audio? Like Colin Moran makes an error. Be like, Colin Moran, you bum. And it's just like gets blasted over the loudspeaker at the stadium. There's a bunch of people yelling at Colin Moran.
Do it. Do it. You know it can be done. You know it can be done, MLB. You have the technology. Do it.
That would be good. That would be fun.
Oh, man. So other than that, we probably could wrap this up here.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else on the top of my head I want to really talk and dive into.
Opening day tomorrow. Pirates, Cardinals, 8:15.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
We could talk about that. But we kind of already did yesterday.
Yeah, we are.
So if you want to hear us talk about it and you haven't, listen to Wednesday morning show Starbucks with Jim and I. That's where we go ahead and talk about the upcoming preview of the series. But all right. Well, I think we're good. We can check back in. The Dodgers game's going to start here soon. Is there any update on the Yankees and Nationals game?
I haven't seen anything yet, which I totally called that earlier today too.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because I see it's still in rain, but I haven't seen like any updates. So, all right. Well, then I guess let's we'll end this and we'll go check out the Dodgers and Giants game. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast, it's already happened. So I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to expose myself and say how dumb we are and stupid tweets we put out. So I'm not going to make any predictions now. So with that said, we'll catch you on the podcast Sunday. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.